All right, let's go straight to Taha Arvas, who's an adjunct professor of finance over at Bogazici University. Taha, good to have you. Was this a step back from the U.S.?
It appears to be. Let's put it as a step forward in improving relations. I echo some of the things that Yusuf said there. It appears to be a step towards de-escalation. The United States is, as you may know, coincidentally, in a interesting period itself. The U.S. House of Representatives is investigating the January 6th coup attempt in the United States, and the House Homeland Security Committee is saying, who paid for this coup attempt? Who paid for these far-right radicals to storm the U.S. House of Representatives, trying to overthrow the will of the people, President Biden's election, essentially? And they're trying to go after the people who paid for this coup attempt. So this case is about almost the same exact situation. I don't have the details, obviously, of the case. I'm not privy to private information or other type of court documents. But this is what Turkey is after. The frustration with the U.S. government and other governments around the world is, as is often the case, that the court system is working too slow. But that's the reality in a lot of countries, and it is for a case that's important in Turkey. So, as Yusuf said, trying to pressure, and I think if you ask the United States and other countries, they wouldn't consider it pressuring the judge in this case and the judiciary. I mean, you want an independent judiciary, then you should, you should respect the process, due process in these countries. So I think it is a step back in that step back from escalation. Rather, I think it's a step forward towards de-escalating this, and I think it has had that effect.
Okay.
As far as markets go, at least, yeah.
Yeah. An important G20 summit coming up. How do you expect the atmosphere there to be?
I think this is a really interesting period in the world in general. So I think it will be a little better than it was. Obviously, some people will have maybe it could be considered as a misunderstanding between countries. This is a very touchy topic for Turkish people and for the Turkish government, obviously, as we have seen here, and maybe the U.S. and other nations kind of didn't expect such a strong response, and so maybe we can just chalk it up to a misunderstanding or a misreading of each other, and hopefully that'll be a much more cordial meeting than would have been had this statement not come out.
Are you surprised that there are countries out there, formerly part of the European Union, countries that are still part of the European Union, that didn't join these group of 10 countries, namely the United Kingdom, Spain, and Italy?
I'm not surprised. It's a different approach. I mean, if the United Kingdom could have issued the same statement, it could have joined the United States, perhaps the United States' #1 ally. But it's a different type of diplomacy. I think it's a different type of diplomacy. That's all I have to really say about that. And I think the UK may have echoed the same exact statements that the US and these other countries did, but did so without such a confrontational approach. Maybe the intent was confrontation. If that was the case, then they got it, and then and maybe they were surprised by the reaction, and now this has led to a de-escalation. I mean, if these countries wanted, they could have themselves recalled their ambassadors immediately after the president's announcement, but I think them not doing so, and I think this latest statement is a move towards de-escalation. Nobody wants increased tensions in the globe, especially at such a interesting time in the world. So I think this is a move forward for everyone, and it will help to ease tensions.
I mean, Taha, I have to ask you, if this move did carry a confrontational motive from the very beginning, then it has to be a step back then.
If the initial move carried a confrontational step, I mean, listen, you have to know the culture, you have to know the climate. This is not, this is something that the British may not do, but something that's very normal for Americans. I mean, this is a cultural, it's obviously more than a cultural difference, but it's a culture of diplomacy. And sometimes, some countries are used to being able to use their weight to push around other countries. And some are not. Some are surprised when there's pushback. This might be one of those instances. Like I said, I don't know all the details of the case and of what these countries have been doing behind the scenes. But if they haven't been doing anything behind the scenes, if this is just a step to kind of warn the judiciary, you better rule the way we want you to rule, then that's an impeachment of democracy, an impeachment of due process. And then, in that case, let's just, the Turkish government should just outsource all of its court decisions to foreign countries and let them decide. That's not a reality, obviously. You have to respect the due process in other countries if you want to continue a positive dialogue, which I think the United States here has said that they want to do by issuing this statement.
All right, fair enough. Taha Arvas, thank you very much for that analysis.